Very good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV this Saturday morning. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us begin with the headlines. BSF eliminates 7 Pakistani Rangers and 1 militant in retaliatory action following repeated ceasefire violation. Pakistan denies loss of lives. Centre seeks a detailed report on debit card data compromise. RBI and Finance Ministry to launch investigation after security breaches feared to have affected over 32 lakh card holders. Bird flu scare in Delhi and Gwalior. 24 bird deaths reported in Delhi. Gwalior Zoo closed after 15 migratory birds die. Rift within a Samajwadi Party widens. The Chief Minister Akhilesh skips crucial meeting called by State Party Chief and Uncle Shivpal Yadav over poll strategy. Meets party leaders separately. And 22 people killed in Kirkuk in Iraq in brazen attacks by the Islamic State. Attempt to divert attention from Mosul war offensive. Our top story this morning, there were repeated ceasefire violations by Pakistan along the border in Jammu and Kashmir on Friday. The violations continued late into the night as well. The BSF has said that it has shot dead 7 Pakistani Rangers and 1 militant in the retaliatory action following unprovoked Pakistani firing. Pakistan, meanwhile, has denied the claims.
The Border Security Force retaliating to repeated ceasefire violations by Pakistan, this time in Kathua district in Jammu and Kashmir, inflicting casualties on the Pakistani side.
BSF retaliated the fire of the Pakistan in the most befitting manner, and ultimately it has been reportedly learned, since we had hit many Rangers, 7 of them have been killed and 1 militant day for intervening night is already dead.
Pakistani Rangers, the border force of Pakistan, resorted to sniper attacks at Indian posts at Hiranagar in Kathua at around 9:35 am on Friday. The BSF also stating in a press release later that source input claimed that a media organization in Pakistan has brought out a report on death of 5 Rangers. The BSF's response came after one of its constables was injured in a sniper fire attack by Pak Rangers. His condition is critical.
They began, we gave the reply. If they again do this kind of misadventure, proper reply will be given to them. That they will remember. It's better not to get into this kind of unprovoked ceasefire violations.
Pakistani Rangers also started unprovoked fire in Samba and Paragwal sectors of Jammu. BSF retaliated in equal measure. Following the firing at the Hiranagar border, the district administration has asked people to move to safer places.
सुबह से तो पहले 1 घंटा लगातार फायरिंग हुई 9:35 से लेकर 10:30 बजे तक. उसके बाद में 1 घंटे के लिए फायरिंग रुकी है. उसके बाद में अचानक से पाकिस्तान ने हैवी शेलिंग मोटर का फायर शुरू कर दिया है, तो जिसकी वजह से ज्यादा दहशत पड़ गई है कि उनका भरोसा कोई नहीं कब क्या कर दे.
कैंपस वगैरह तो अभी अरेंजमेंट कुछ हुआ नहीं है, तो रिलेटिव्स के घर ही जा रहे हैं, तो बच्चों को सेव करने के लिए जाना पड़ रहा है. अगर देखा जाए तो सुबह से लगातार फायरिंग हो रही है, बीच में कभी जब रुकती है तो निकलने का टाइम मिलता है. दूसरे गांव के लोग तो चले गए हैं, हम बस देख रहे हैं कि अगर बंद हो जाए तो घर छोड़ने के लिए जाना ना पड़े.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh reviewed the situation along the Indo-Pak border following the BSF action. Singh had earlier said that the BSF should not fire the first shots towards Pakistan, but if fired upon, should not count the bullets and retaliate forcefully. The opposition has said repeated ceasefire violations are regrettable.
I'm glad that the BSF has done a good job, and it's done what is required of it and what it believes is its duty. But the fact will still remain that repeated violations of our space and repeated attacks on us, even from across the border, are very regrettable.
Pakistan Rangers also violated ceasefire in the Araspura sector by resorting to small arms fire late in the night. Its army also claimed that there was no loss of life on its side in firing at the border, contradicting the BSF on the matter. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has urged the police to try to bring back home boys who have joined militancy instead of killing them in encounters. She also appealed to the police and the security forces to refrain from using weapons like pellet guns while dealing with protests. The Chief Minister said that while the police had exhibited patience during the last 3 months of unrest in the valley, there were some mistakes which warrant action. She also said that AFSPA should be repealed from the state only when the situation improves. Well, her remarks came at the police commemoration day function on the outskirts of Srinagar. She also said that Pakistan will have to stop cross-border terrorism for any dialogue to be successful. Central Minister Jitendra Singh, while reacting to Mehbooba's statement, said that there will be no compromise on terror.
मेरी ये दरख्वास्त होगी उन बच्चों के वालिदान से भी और अपने पुलिस फोर्स से भी कि ये तो बहुत छोटे छोटे लड़के हैं जो हैं जिन्होंने जाके इस वक्त जो लगता है कि घरों से चले गए, हमें पूरा मालूम नहीं है क्या मिलिटेंसी ज्वाइन की है नहीं, जिन्होंने भी ज्वाइन की हो जो यहाँ के लोकल बॉयज़ हैं, तो अगर उनको किसी तरीके से जो लोग हैं उनकी हैंड होल्डिंग करके उनके को अपने घरों में वापस लाया जाए तो मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत ही बड़ा काम होगा।
जहाँ तक आतंकवाद का प्रश्न है, भारत सरकार की नीति स्पष्ट है और तमाम राजनीतिक दलों की भी इसमें एक ही राय है। आतंकवाद के प्रति किसी प्रकार की कोई ढील करने का कोई गुंजाइश नहीं होनी चाहिए और सभी राजनीतिक दलों की इसमें सर्वसम्मति भी है।
The issue was sufficiently debated in Parliament. We wanted an all-party meeting. All-party meeting was convened. We wanted an all-party delegation to be sent to Jammu and Kashmir. All-party delegation went there. After coming back, what is the political process that Government of India has initiated or Jammu and Kashmir government has initiated?
Well, addressing a function to mark the foundation day of the National Human Rights Commission, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said that the NHRC must go beyond the conventional perspective of violations to examine cross-border terrorism victims through the prism of human rights. The Law Minister also said that there is a need to focus on the rights of people suffering from HIV, AIDS and cancer.
When we talk of human rights, to also consider the human rights of those who are the victim of terrorism. When terrorists come and kill with impunity, a CRPF Jawan sent on a mine blast, his vehicle gets tossed up 20 feet in the sky and 30 Jawans are killed. What about the human rights of their family? Do they have a human rights or not? These are issues which are important to be considered.
Well, on to some other news. President Pranab Mukherjee has called for a framework to facilitate institutional arbitration in the country, adding that government should avoid intervening in commercial disputes. Now, speaking at the global conference on arbitration in the national capital, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley too underscored the need to revive arbitral centres to win investor confidence. The conference aimed to create a roadmap to strengthen arbitration and its enforcement in the country. It is the second day of the three-day global conference to strengthen arbitration and enforcement in India. The conference, being held at Vigyan Bhavan in the national capital, was inaugurated on Friday by President Pranab Mukherjee. It aims to change the face of dispute resolution in India. During his inaugural address, President Mukherjee called for institutional reforms to strengthen arbitration framework in India. He said courts need to devise a mechanism to handle such matters separately.
Indian courts need to devise an administrative mechanism to ensure that arbitration matters are handled separately and efficiently so as to avoid any delay arising out of the judicial intervention.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley too underscored the need for adequate arbitral infrastructure, which he says also takes care of the high costs involved with the process. At present, most of the global business disputes involving Indians are taken up in the Singapore or the London arbitration centres.
Public spending is increased, and therefore it's extremely important, both from the point of view of the ease of doing business, as also to retain the confidence of the investor itself, that our system is tuned in order to ensure that we have a robust mechanism for expeditious disposal of any disputes which arise.
In his address, Chief Justice of India T.S. Thakur dismissed the perception that Indian courts overtly interfere in arbitral awards. He said some of the path-breaking pronouncements by the judiciary have rather helped the country emerge as an arbitration-friendly destination.
That there is in some quarters a perception that courts in this country interfere with arbitral awards more than courts in other jurisdictions do. I take this opportunity to point out that this perception should no longer persist in view of some path-breaking pronouncements towards making India an arbitration-friendly destination.
The first day of the three-day conference was also addressed by Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Arvind Panagaria, Justice UU Lalit, among other legal experts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the valedictory address on Sunday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And now an update on the debit card data breach. Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Friday said that the government has sought a detailed report on the compromise. As per the government's direction, RBI and the banks shall now provide details of the data breach that affected over 32 lakh cardholders and also the bank's preparedness to deal with cyber crimes. Several banks, including the SBI, have recalled a number of debit cards, while many other banks also blocked the cards that were suspected to have been compromised. The government on Friday asked banks and the RBI to submit their report on the nature of the security breach concerning over 32 lakh debit cards. It also asked about the preparedness to deal with cyber crimes. The government assured customers that strong action will be taken while their interests will not be harmed. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said, "I have sought a report in the debit card issue. The idea is to contain the damage." Secretary of Economic Affairs Shakti Kanta Das said that the Reserve Bank of India has been asked to investigate the matter.
डिटेल रिपोर्ट मांगा गया है बैंकों से और इसको रिजर्व बैंक भी इसकी जो मतलब तफ्तीश वगैरह रिजर्व बैंक भी इन्वेस्टिगेट करेंगे, फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री भी इसको डिटेल इंक्वायर करेगा और हमारे तरफ से सरकार के तरफ से मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि साइबर सिक्योरिटी जो है वो बहुत एक इम्पोर्टेंट मुद्दा है.
Das further added there was no need to panic over the feared security breach.
कस्टमर में ऐसा कोई डर नहीं होना चाहिए क्योंकि ये सब तो कंप्यूटर के रास्ते से होता है. जो ट्रेल है कंप्यूटर ट्रेल, वो ट्रेल तो मिल जाएगा और कस्टमर्स को मतलब मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कस्टमर्स में कोई पैनिक या कोई अलार्म की जरूरत नहीं है. जो कार्रवाई करनी है वो कार्रवाई बहुत ही मतलब विद स्पीड वो हो रही है.
Meanwhile, opposition Congress took pot shot at the Narendra Modi government, telling the Prime Minister that it should take credit for this first ever surgical strikes from hackers in the US and China.
चीन, रूस, इंडोनेशिया, अमेरिका में बैठे हुए कंप्यूटर घुसपैठियों के द्वारा, हैकर्स के द्वारा 65 लाख कार्ड धारकों, भारतीय कार्ड धारकों का सूची चोरी की गई और जब ये सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक मई महीने से सितंबर तक लगातार चलते रहा, देश के चौकीदार माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी सोते रहे.
With over 32 lakh debit cards feared to have been compromised in India's largest banking security breach, the Cybercrime Cell of Maharashtra Police has written to several banks seeking information on fraudulent withdrawals. Country's largest commercial lender, State Bank of India, has also advised its customers to use the bank's own ATM network after the security breach of around 6 lakh debit cards issued by the bank. However, it had blocked the debit cards whose security had been reportedly breached due to the malware attack. The suspected security breach happened through a malware in the systems of Hitachi Payment Services, which serves ATM network of Yes Bank and also some white label ATMs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Well, news from Uttar Pradesh, where the family feud in the Samajwadi Party is worsening. Now, a defiant UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav skipped a meeting convened by SP State Chief Shivpal Yadav to discuss the poll strategy. Now, Akhilesh met the leaders separately later. The rift continued despite Shivpal naming Akhilesh as the chief ministerial candidate for the party. Widening rift within the ruling Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh resurfaced yet again when Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav skipped a crucial meeting called by his uncle and state party chief Shivpal Yadav on Friday. Shivpal had convened a meeting of party's 95 district and city unit presidents at the party headquarters in Lucknow to strategize for the assembly polls due early next year. In an effort to bury the differences, Shivpal also said that Akhilesh will be the party's chief ministerial candidate, but Akhilesh was conspicuous by his absence.
अगर हमारी सरकार बनती है, हमारा बहुमत आता है, तो माननीय शिवपाल सिंह का दिल देखिए 3 बार कहा कि माननीय अखिलेश जी मुख्यमंत्री होंगे। इससे बड़ी कोई बात नहीं हो सकती कि माननीय शिवपाल सिंह ने कहा मुझे सेंटर का काम मिला है और मैं सेंटर का काम करूंगा, लेकिन मेरा लक्ष्य ये है कि अखिलेश जी दोबारा मुख्यमंत्री बने।
However, Akhilesh met the delegates at his residence later in the day and apprised them of his Rath Yatra scheduled from 3rd of November. Akhilesh, with whom Shivpal is engaged in a feud over the last few months, had written a letter to Mulayam informing him about his unilateral decision to kickstart the party's election campaign next month to highlight the development work done by his government.
पार्टी में जो हो रहा है वो अच्छा नहीं हो रहा है। सबसे तमाम लोगों को तकलीफ है, हमको भी तकलीफ है। मुलायम जी से मिलेंगे, अखिलेश जी से मिलेंगे और पूरी कोशिश करेंगे कि ये ताना बाना जो बड़ी मुश्किल से बनाया गया है ये बना रहे और मजबूत हो, वरना बाद में सभी पछताएंगे।
2 more party state executive meets are scheduled for Saturday and Monday, and it is unclear if Akhilesh would attend the meetings. With the Chief Minister embarking on his election campaign from 3rd of November, it also seems unlikely that he will attend the party's Grand Silver Jubilee celebrations on 5th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Time to take a very short break. We have more news on the other side. Stay with us.
In this episode of Special Report, we are in Canada.
Canada, a colonial cousin of India.
कनाडा में सब कुछ है जो भारत को चाहिए और भारत के पास वो सब कुछ है जो कनाडा को चाहिए.
Is now the first choice of Indian migrants. Watch a special report from Canada with love, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Now, the centre on Friday launched a scheme to provide cheap fares for regional flights known as Udan or Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik in the national capital. Well, under the scheme, the fares will be capped at 2,500 rupees for 1-hour flights on unserved and underserved routes. The government expects the first flight under this scheme to take off in January next year.
With the aim of taking flying to the masses, the centre has unveiled the final regional connectivity scheme known as Udan or Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. Under the scheme, airfares will be capped at 2,500 rupees for a 1-hour journey on a flight operating to and from a regional airport. The scheme also seeks to provide air services between unserved and underserved areas and has invited proposals from operators to start flying to such airports. The government will provide subsidies to regional airlines to offer half the seats on a discounted rate. The government expects the first flight under the scheme to take off in January.
This is how we are going about. We'd like you all to strengthen our hands. Our growth rates have been encouraging in civil aviation, and we intend to keep that momentum going. The ultimate analysis is that these have to be economically viable schemes within reasonable time.
A first of its kind in the world, Udan will be based on market mechanism as well as bidding for a minimum of 9 seats and a maximum of 40 seats in a fixed-wing aircraft. Reportedly, airlines have 6 weeks to submit their proposals, after which they will be screened for a few more weeks before the contract is finally awarded.
I think what's particularly exciting and innovative about this approach is that we're doing something that has not been done elsewhere in the world, which is a market-based mechanism to provide seat subsidies. That's really what we're trying to do here. And the market-based mechanism is because we want our colleagues from the various airlines to actually bid for these seat subsidies.
The government hopes the scheme will lead to the sale of 30 crore rupees worth of air tickets in a year in the domestic sector by 2020 and 50 crore rupees by 2027. However, many airlines had expressed their displeasure at sharing the burden of funding the scheme after the government decided to impose a levy on scheduled flights on major routes. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the bird flu scare has spread to Madhya Pradesh after Delhi. In the national capital, 24 birds have died so far. However, the state government has said that the strand of the virus is non-fatal to humans. The Gwalior Zoo was shut after 15 migratory birds died. Delhi is staring at a bird flu threat. Development Minister Gopal Rai and a team of doctors visited the chicken wholesale market in Ghazipur on Friday. Samples of about 4 dozen birds were sent for testing before. At a high-level meeting called on Friday, the minister said that the strand of the virus that has been found in the birds is non-fatal.
वायरस से जो अभी पाया गया है, इससे लोगों के बीच में इसका इन्फेक्शन जाएगा, इसकी संभावना बहुत कम है. इसलिए जो फाइनल रिपोर्ट आई है उसके आधार पर दिल्ली के लोगों को किसी तरह की घबराहट में, किसी तरह की पैनिक में आने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Meanwhile, 6 more birds have died at the deer park, taking the toll in the national capital to 24. Following this, the Ghazipur market took several precautionary measures. Vehicles carrying poultry will not be allowed to enter in the market without a medical certificate from Sunday. A subway is being built which will wash out truck tires. A 15-member committee has been formed to collect samples in the market area.
5 लोग जो अधिकारियों की टीम होगी, 5 डॉक्टरों की टीम और 5 यहाँ के व्यापारियों की टीम, एक 15 सदस्यीय हमने एक कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी यहाँ पर बनाई है जो मॉनिटरिंग करती रहेगी मंडी की सिचुएशन को.
फ्लू का खतरा अभी इंसानों के लिए तो नहीं है. अभी जो हमने टेस्ट करवाया था उसमें ये जो वायरस H5N8 आया है भोपाल से, रात को ही हमारे पास रिपोर्ट आई है, तो इसमें डरने वाली बात नहीं है. ज़्यादा वायरुलेंट नहीं है, ये आदमियों को कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुँचाएगा.
Development Minister Gopal Rai also wrote to his counterparts in Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh requesting them to closely monitor bird sanctuaries and poultry farms as most of the migratory birds enter the national capital through the neighbouring states. Meanwhile, at the Gwalior Gandhi Zoological Park, 15 migratory birds have died so far. The flu virus subtype H5N8 has been confirmed in the samples of these birds. The zoo has been shut following the deaths of the birds. With Bureau Inputs, this is Anu Devan's report for Rajya Sabha TV. News from Odisha now, where the Health Minister Atanu Sabyasachi Naik on Friday resigned in the wake of the fire at the SUM hospital in Bhubaneswar that has claimed 25 lives so far. The resignation came a day after he admitted to lapses in fire safety measures at the hospital. Well, Naik drew flak from different quarters in the aftermath of the devastating fire at the SUM hospital on the 17th of October, with opposition parties demanding his resignation. Now, informing media, Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik said that the Health Minister resigned on moral grounds. On Friday, 4 more patients receiving treatment at different hospitals died. 5 people have so far been arrested, including the chairman of the trust that ran the hospital.
Mr. Atanu Sabyasachi Naik has sent me his letter of resignation. He has resigned on moral grounds. I have accepted his resignation and sent his letter on to the Honorable Governor.
Let's get to some international news. First up, news from Iraq, where the Islamic State has launched a surprise counterattack on the oil city of Kirkuk, killing at least 22 members of the security forces. While several police buildings and a power station were attacked, the crude oil production facilities were not targeted and the power supply continued uninterrupted in the city. Now, Kirkuk lies between Baghdad and Mosul and is still under the control of Islamic State. The assaults came 4 days after Kurdish and Iraqi forces started an offensive to push Islamic State out of Mosul, the militants' last major city stronghold in Iraq. Now, capture of Mosul is expected to become the biggest battle fought in Iraq since the US-led invasion in 2003. Let's get to some more international news. Here is the World Wrap. 53 people were killed and over 300 injured when a packed Cameroon passenger train derailed while travelling between capital and the economic hub Douala. The train crammed with people due to road traffic disruption between the two cities left the tracks just before reaching the central city of Eseka. Now, the cause of the accident is yet not clear. US Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has launched an attack on Michelle Obama, saying that all she wants to do is campaign for his rival. He also accused the First Lady of attacking Hillary Clinton in 2007. Now, speaking at a North Carolina rally, Trump called the country's leadership babies and losers. A trade deal between the EU and Canada is on the brink of collapse because of a Belgian region opposes it. An emotional Canadian Trade Minister, Chrystia Freeland, left the talks in Brussels, saying that the EU was not capable of signing a trade agreement. Belgium, the only country blocking the accord, needed consent from the regional parliament of Wallonia. The wide-ranging deal is 7 years in the making, was to be signed next week. China has said that a patrol by a US warship in the South China Sea on Friday was illegal and provocative. While China's defense ministry said that guided missile destroyer USS Decatur carried out patrols near the Paracels Island, over which China has territorial disputes with its neighbors. It added that a Chinese warship asked the US warship to leave and that the Chinese military would now increase air and sea patrols. Time now to get you all the sporting action. Here is the sports beat. Seven-time defending champion India steamrolled into a hapless Thailand 73-20 to storm into the final of the 2016 Kabaddi World Cup. The Indian proved their supremacy and prowess in the sport and toyed with the Thais in the lopsided second semi-final. India will now face the rising Asian power Iran in the summit clash of the tournament on Saturday. Pune, Ranchi and Dharamshala will be hosting cricket test matches for the first time as the BCCI on Friday announced venues for India's 4-match test series against Australia beginning on 23rd of February next year. The teams will open their campaign in the Border Gavaskar Trophy with the first test in Pune, followed by Bengaluru, Ranchi and Dharamshala. Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal will return to competition with the China Open starting 12th of November after recovering from a knee injury that she had received during the Rio Olympic Games. Saina Nehwal, who is currently ranked 5th in the world, was a runners-up at the 2015 China Open. Saina, a bronze medalist at the 2012 London Olympics, was eliminated from Rio Games after her second match. Brazilian football superstar Neymar has finally signed his new 5-year contract with Barcelona, committing him to the club until 2021 over 3 months after it was agreed. Now, Neymar agreed to the deal, which increases his release clause to $200 million. The clause rises to €222 million in the second year and €250 million in the final 3. Neymar has scored 91 goals in 150 games for the club since his 2013 move. Well, that's all in this edition of news, but news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha TV. Thanks for watching.